Hi, my name's Ruby Shearer, and today I'm going to be discussing the TED Talk by Dr. Poppy Crum, which is Technology That Knows What You're Feeling. So first I'm going to start off with just a little bit of background on Dr. Crum. She is a neuroscientist and a technologist. She's the chief scientist at Dolby Laboratories and an adjunct professor at Stanford University. She frequently speaks on subjects related to artificial intelligence, human experience, immersive technologies, and sensory data science. One of her passions is to create technologies which enhance not only our human experience, but also the way we interact with the world around us. One of these technologies that she's most interested in is empathetic technology. This is technology that can read into humans' inner states or emotions. Dr. Crum starts this TED Talk by talking about animals and how we're able to observe their external behaviors and get a little bit of a window into their inner states. She demonstrates this by showing us a video of a spider, and this spider responds to loud, high-pitched singing. And the response that it has is that it raises its front legs instinctively in defense in order to appear more intimidating. So the biology of this spider is responding to its external world, which gives us insight into its inner world, which is the fact that it's actually scared. So we see by its response that it's scared, so it's wearing its internal state on its sleeve. Dr. Crum goes on to discuss how, as humans, we feel we're different from this spider. We like to think that we have more cognitive control over our external reactions. And as humans, we have this certain desire to have agency over what we share and don't share with others. Or, in other words, there's this certain desire to be in charge of what people see, know, and understand about our internal states. This includes our emotions, things like us bluffing or lying, our insecurities, misfortunes or struggles, and so on. Dr. Crum refers to this control that we think we have as our poker face. She goes on to explain that this poker face could be coming to an end with the new technology that we have. Our current technology is able to reveal a great deal about our emotions and inner states, and she feels that we can't hide our true feelings from this technology. It's able to detect our human tells, which expose our feelings, and it's crazy because usually these feelings happen with no obvious changes in physical behavior. So it would be harder for most humans to detect, but these technologies are able to detect these changes. She goes on to talk about how our bodies can't lie, and our bodies create recordable physiological evidence, which is automatic or uncontrolled, or instinctive, if you will, and this evidence provides accurate information of individuals' inner states or emotions. Certain technology is able to detect tiny discrepancies in microfacial expressions to determine the difference between a real smile and a fake smile. Dr. Crum also discusses cameras which capture evidence of our pupils, which dilate and contract depending on how hard our brain is working. It's an involuntary response, which we all have, and the pupils will dilate when the brain is struggling to understand something. She demonstrated this with a video of someone's pupil being dilated when there were two voices talking at once. The brain had a hard time trying to understand and distinguish between the two voices, so the pupil instinctively gets bigger. And then she showed a video, the same video, and it turns into one voice, and the pupil automatically contracts because it's having an easier time understanding the voice. Another form of technology that Dr. Crum discusses is thermal imaging. These images can reveal changes in temperature, which indicate changes in stress or possibly attention levels, whether someone's paying attention to a conversation or not, as well as different things like levels of attraction or arousal. Another form of technology that can be used to understand our emotions that Dr. Crum talks about is dealing with the chemical composition of our breath. Different emotions such as fear, joy, and suspense trigger different changes in your heart rate and muscle tension, and all of these emotions can be detected through this chemical signature that we broadcast unintentionally. She actually demonstrated this in the TED Talk by playing a scary clip, and she was measuring the amount of CO2 in the room, and when the scary clip was playing, there was a significant difference in the amount of CO2 which can be seen from the blue to red before and during the clip. The final form of technology that Dr. Crum discusses in this TED Talk is technology that analyzes the timing dynamics of our speech and language. This technology not only analyzes, but it also listens, is able to develop insights, and make predictions about mental health as well as physical health. One example that she talked about was that signs of Alzheimer's disease, changes in language pattern associated with Alzheimer's disease, could be recognized up to 10 years before an actual clinical diagnosis, which is pretty remarkable. These types of technology can seriously transform the way that we interact with each other. Dr. Crum believes that this is the era of the empath, in which we humans have the chance to reach in and really connect with one another. She talks about how we will gain not only a better understanding for ourselves, but also for others. She talks about how we'll be able to detect feelings that probably would warrant attention. She gives a scenario about a guidance counselor who's able to detect that an outwardly seemingly cheery and happy student is actually struggling or dealing with a hard time. This could prompt them to reach out and make a crucial positive difference. There are some slight hesitations with this technology, mainly stemming from the fact that many people might feel uncomfortable or even scared by this technology, or the idea of other people knowing information about them that they did not actively choose to share. Dr. Crum would respond to these concerns by stating that we don't have to rip our entire lives open, or that we don't have to put our whole life on display. She acknowledges that trust is needed for this idea, and establishes that this trust would be developed through transparency to engagement, as well as effective regulation. She argues that surrendering a bit of agency is worth it in order to help us care and connect more effectively. The benefits of empathetic technology are worth solving the problems that make us uncomfortable, in her words. There are a few questions that I would ask Dr. Crum if I was given the chance. The first would be, do you think this type of technology could help pave the way for advancements in artificial intelligence in regards to AI developing empathy or consciousness even? Also, Paul Bloom, PhD, is a psychologist and professor at Yale University. He argues that empathy makes us feel burnout and exhausted. He also says that it can racially bias you towards people who look like you and bias you against those that don't. What do you say to people like Dr. Bloom who feel that empathy might be a hindrance rather than a help to members in society? And finally, I would ask, what specific regulations or measures will be taken to prevent the misuse or abuse of this technology, including the violation of individuals' rights and privacy? In other words, how do you plan to build and gain the trust that you spoke of?